are so many mutants out there, it's hard to remember them all, but is that what Marvel wants? I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. That's a fun phrase, so why not make a character out of it? Does it sound like a weird idea? Yeah, that's probably why Marvel wants us to leave Ice Cream behind. Ice Cream's mutant ability is turning himself into any ice cream, even a banana split. If you leave him in extreme heat or cold too long, he's gonna either stay melted, unable to solidify again, or will freeze, totally solid and can't move. He was in Obnoxo the Clown in 1983 and literally was not seen until 2023. In X-Men Before the Fall, Mutant First Strike, he is giving out ice cream at a celebration. He just gives out ice cream, he doesn't do anything else. It seems like he's a character Marvel brings in for fun, but not for us to remember long term. Evan Daniels, better known as Spike, was created for the animated show X-Men Evolution, and that's pretty much the only place he is. There was a version of him brought into the comics, but that guy was loosely based on Evan. There were backstory similarities, but that was pretty much it. Spike's powers have to do with his bones. He can create bone spikes anywhere on his body and then throw them at things. He later created bone armor that was self-repairing and could use his spikes to climb walls and stuff. His weakness is loss of calcium. Regrowing your bones all the time and throwing them around means his calcium levels are low, so he drinks a lot of milk. Poster Child Forgot Milk campaign. I know that his weakness is that he has to replenish with milk, but I think that can also serve as mental warfare. If I was in the middle of a fight with someone and instead of water they stopped and took a swig of milk, I'm off my game. That would haunt me forever. Every time he throws his bones, we don't see a wound, so he probably has some sort of healing factor. The character has good bones, figuratively and literally, so why isn't he appearing in the mainstream comic universe? Well, his power set is quite similar to the pre-existing character Marrow, so that unfortunately might have something to do with it. The last time he was seen was 2003 in the finale of the show. Robin Vega appeared in Spider-Man 82 and 83 in 1997, and that's all. Literally nothing since then. She is a mutant, but maybe since she wasn't in the actual X-Men comics, Marvel has pushed her away. Her mutant ability is metal mimicry. She can make herself metal. It's living metal, so she can move and stretch her body parts around and even make her limbs weapons. She can melt herself down into a liquid or stay solid, it's up to her. And because she's metal, she's bulletproof. The powers are super cool, which is why Marvel has used very similar ideas with other characters. They're not exactly the same but different. Other metal mutants include Colossus, Mercury, and Flex. So the market is pretty saturated. The Spider-Man 83 comic ended with her literally just running off. Well, there are a few people out there who still remember her. It looks like Marvel might be sweeping her under the rug. She hasn't even been featured in more recent comics as one of those cameos of forgotten characters. Combo Man has shown up twice. Once semi-seriously, and the other was poking fun at the character. Combo Man was created because of a promotional agreement, which means he's really weird. The agreement was between Marvel, of course, and Eagle Snacks. He is a combo of a bunch of different Marvel heroes, and that means he has all their powers too. Combo Man is the hero. The human inside of him is Rick Wilder. Rick was a kid and he turns into Combo Man when he was near a lab explosion. Rick happened at the time to be carrying a Marvel comic book and Eagle Company snack brand Combo Snacks. Of course, these two things combined with Rick and he is now Combo Man. If you want to check it out, Combo Man has one issue, it's just called Combo Man. His only other appearance was in Ziggy Pig Silly Seal comic at a Comic-Con in a back alley alongside a bunch of other weird forgotten Marvel characters. I count Combo Man as a mutant because quite a few mutants were part of the lineup that created him, like Cyclops and Magneto. Changeling is known for a few things, but you might maybe remember him either pretending to be Professor X or Elvis. Yeah, the Changeling's mutant ability is shapeshifting, but specifically the metamorph strain as he is limited to humans. He had basic telepathy, but that was then boosted by Professor X. He used to just be able to influence people, now he can read minds and make you think his thoughts. Professor X boosted him and he pretended to be Professor X because the real Professor X needed to go prepare to fight an alien invasion. But Professor X couldn't just disappear, so enter Changeling. He did die as Professor X and was buried as Professor X. It was when he was brought back as a zombie that we got the Elvis moment. Zombie Changeling was helping out She-Hulk by providing a distraction, and that distraction was Elvis. He then went 6 feet under again shortly after. Changeling was revamped with a new name in some other universes. He became morphed, and he got a lot more character development and, sorry, but more interesting plot lines that he got to be himself in. It seems Marvel wants the Changeling version to be left behind and morphed to get picked up instead. Coming in all the way from Hollywood is El Guapo. He was a mutant stuntman. He worked on X-Statix, the movie, which is also the name of the real-life comic series. El Guapo appeared in X-Statix 9 and then perished in issue 18. Here for a good time, not a long time. Marvel might want us to forget this mutant because the guy didn't, really have powers. Instead, he had a symbiotic relationship with, take a guess, not a symbiote. Good guess though, he's attached to a skateboard. A flying skateboard. It moves at his mental command, and sometimes it even fights him. When El Guapo cheated on his girlfriend, the board beat him up, and was later his cause of death. He was impaled on his skateboard. It's all a little ridiculous, so it's not much of a surprise that Marvel has left El Guapo alone after his death. I feel bad for calling the mutant Ugly John, so I'm going to refer to him by the name he introduced himself as, Steve. Steve is a mutant with 3 faces, that's all. No powers, just serving face. Since he doesn't really do anything, it's understandable that he hasn't been revived since his tragic death in New X-Men 115. His first appearance was New X-Men 114. He wasn't around for a good time or a long time. Poor Steve. The last early mutant standing without the help of resurrection is Gabriel Shepard. His character is pretty interesting. He's a proto-mutant, an early version of mutants whose X gene was less evolved. There weren't many of these guys to start out with, and Gabriel was the last one standing as he looked the most human and was the most powerful. The other proto-mutants had been getting revived to be used as weapons, and Gabriel found out by reading the mind of an X-Men, and he was not happy. He dispersed himself into pure energy, unhappy. This guy is super powerful. He was thought to maybe even be an Omega level mutant. He is immortal. He has super strength and hearing, has telepathic abilities, and can stop you from using telepathic abilities on him. He can fly, he can manipulate matter to make it something else, healing powers, like a power plant, he can generate electricity and even stop time. That is so many things. Why isn't he a bigger deal? I raise you. Does Marvel want us to forget him, or is the omnipotent Omega level mutant using his power to make us forget him? When you look at it, the poor guy just seems to want to live his life out of the spotlight. He's been around for hundreds of years. He had to have known about the X-Men, yet he chose to stay hidden. He doesn't really want to use his powers. Maybe we should forget about him, just to let the poor guy rest. I did a video on the history of Magneto recently, and in that we briefly touched on the Magneto clone Joseph. He really had us all convinced he was the real Magneto for a minute there. In his defense, he was a clone of Magneto and he had amnesia, so he did his best. Joseph just is Magneto. Everything Magneto can do, he can do too. He also does his best at causing problems. He's died a few times, but then again, so have most Marvel characters. The first time he was resurrected, he framed Magneto for eliminating a bunch of people. He tried to bring Magneto back to his reign of terror. He's resurrected again after dying again. He keeps impersonating Magneto. It seems that Marvel only remembers and wants us to remember Joseph when they want to bring Magneto back without bringing Magneto back. Remember, Magneto died, actually this time, but then Magneto was spotted. Oops, sorry, that was Joseph again. Joseph was also already dead, but it's easier to just bring him back apparently. Irena Clayton hasn't been seen since her single panel appearance in Legion of X9. She was only there for a second though. Don't get me wrong, she slayed, speaking literally and figuratively. She got a total redesign, so if they hadn't explicitly said it was her, honestly, I wouldn't have been sure. She's a lot scarier now, but that's just because of a monster spell, so hopefully it's not permanent. Her mutant ability is extra mouths on her neck. The extra mouths let her project her voice so it sounds like she is everywhere. I want to know if she can sing in 4-part harmony, because if so, she should have gone into show business. Maybe that's what she was doing, because honestly, Irena doesn't do that much. For the most part, she's just a student at the school that appears in the background. She did help confuse some people who were trying to break into the school, but her appearance in Legion of X is the first time she actually gets her hands dirty, that we get to see at least. This panel also confirms that she does sing. Wouldn't it be wild if she was gone because she was a backup singer for Dazzler's World Tour or something? Anyway, Marvel really must want Qui-Gon because they made a new one. Seriously, the mutant known as Scream changed changed her name to Choir. Quite recently too. I guess Irena is really being put on vocal rest. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and make your mark on the comment section down below. Let me know which mutant you would forget if you could. This is Juliana, signing off. Bye!